welcome Ghost Pups and other Pixelmon fans. So here we are today doing a dev diary. So this series is going to be me doing some beta testing with the Pixelmon 3.0 beta as I look through, try to figure problems out, and develop some of the code. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an inside look at kind of the stuff that we do while we're preparing a new version for you guys. So in today's episode, we're actually going to be showcasing some of the new spawning code. So as you can see here, we still have a little bit of an issue. So we've transitioned over from having the biome spawn to having biome tag spawn. So the good side of this is if you have an extra biomes mod, it's very, very likely that Pixelmon will start spawning in all the other new biomes in a way that they should. Unfortunately, as you can see here, we've got Tentacool in the river, and that's because the river and ocean with Forge don't have distinct tags, so we can't currently tell them apart. So one of the things I'm going to be working on this week is getting these figured out and separating these tags out, so that way we actually do get river spawns and ocean spawns separate again. In addition to making Pokemon spawn in all kinds of new biomes and compatibility with the biome mods, the other thing we were working on is making Pixelmon spawning a little bit more dynamic. So we actually have divided up the spawn times between day, dawn and dusk, and nighttime Pokemon. So you can see right now we're just about in dusk, and so we have the bug-type Pokemons, and also a few of the other ones we thought would fit well with dusk right now spawning. So right now there's just a load of Ponyards and Bisharps. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing those correctly. And so as the sun continues to set, it'll transition into night, and hopefully we will see some of the dark types and ghost types start spawning and replacing these. So the way we currently have the system set up is that we have Pokemon starting to tick off on a death timer once it's a day or night cycle that they don't spawn in. So if they're only a daytime Pokemon, as soon as evening hits, they'll start counting down their death clock, and they'll slowly despawn, allowing Pokemon that spawn in that new time period to start spawning. Now we're getting pretty much on night here, but it doesn't look like any of these guys are actually despawning. One cool thing about the despawning thing is it will not despawn them if you're in battle with them, so it doesn't interfere with you trying to capture them or anything like that. And it also appears that if they're in battle with each other, they're keeping themselves safe, unless they're just not despawning correctly. I'm not exactly sure. Let's see. Well, maybe if I go check a different biome, I might be able to find something a little bit different. Let's see. We got Ghastly spawning just fine in the taiga, so those are nighttime. Swamp's looking kind of dead empty right now. Not really seeing anything at all spawning in the swamp. So we haven't gotten every Pokemon into spawn times or anything like that yet. We're still getting everything set up like that. But this is just for our basic tests. Maybe if we can find, I don't know, plains or extreme hills might be a nice one to find. Oh, here we go, plains biome. So this one is filled with Drifloon, which is currently the only dark-type nighttime Pokemon we've got spawning in the plains. And there are quite a few of them. There's like 40 or 50 of them spawning right now. So we hopefully will be adding more in so that it's a little bit more varied at night, and it's not, instead of just Driflooms as far as the eye can see. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick little break here and have a look at some of the spawning code and see what I can see about the transitions and what exactly is set for each time period. Alright, and we are back. I did a little bit of looking in the database and just made sure that there were actually daytime spawns and dusk-dawn spawns for these guys to transition into. Just wanted to make sure that all of these Pokemon there actually were phases that they would be transitioning with. So let's see, it's just about dawn right now. So hopefully we'll start seeing some bugs and stuff spawning in the forests. See some of these Bisharp and, what's the other one? Ponyard. Despawning a bit. And they should start transitioning. They have a 50-second life timer at the moment. So as soon as the next phase hits, in the first 50 seconds of the next phase, they'll despawn and transition into the new stuff. And I'm not exactly seeing anything spawning in the forest. That's a little worrying. Come on. Yeah, the only ones I'm seeing dying are the ones that are getting killed by each other. We're getting well into the day section of the timeline right now. That's actually really weird. Huh. Alright, well, maybe I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's fully day now. You see the orange on the horizon is starting to disappear. These guys should be despawning, but they're not. It's not like I'm missing anything here in the forest. It's just all Bisharp and Pawnyard still. Very interesting. I wonder if there's something wrong with the spawning code when it becomes day after night. That's really weird. Maybe I just have to go a little bit farther over. They're not despawning because I'm close to them. Really don't know. This is kind of an odd thing. So this is one of the things we normally encounter when we're beta testing. It's we have things that should work when we look at our code in theory, and then we actually test it. Something is having an issue with it. So what I think I'm going to do is I'll take a quick little break. I'll double check my code to see if there is something that's keeping the day-night spawning from occurring, and then I'll be back for another clip. Alright, well, we're back. So I did notice one thing before I start doing some more testing on the day-night cycle code. We actually have a little bit of a texture model issue. Errands seem to be set to the wrong size. This errand is just absolutely gigantic. What is it, like 3 blocks tall? So yeah, sometimes we have issues with getting the models' heads positioned correctly, stuff like that, and sometimes we have scaling issues like this one. So that's another one that we will hopefully get fixed up pretty quickly. Alright, so now we want to really get into the testing of the spawn code. So let me just quickly set the time here to just before evening. Nope, typed it wrong. Alright, so here we are. It's just before evening. So the daytime Pokemon, you can see them despawning. Well, thought that Aaron despawned. But we see some Bisharp starting to spawn in. And we should start seeing some of the Drifbloom and Drifblim starting to spawn in, slowly transitioning in, as these Pokemon keep killing each other off and freeing up some spawn slots. Let's see. It's well into evening. There we go. I think I just saw one in the corner. Yeah, it's just sunset right now. Swamps are still empty, so that's something we need to get fixed up a little bit. Hopefully we'll have something where the biomes all have something in them at all times during the day. Alright, so going back to the plains, we hopefully should have, yeah, there we got some more Drifblims, Drifloons. Hopefully we'll have some more stuff spawning. Come on, sunset faster. Alright, so what I think the issue was before is it may be that the day and night cycle is a little bit differently set up, so that after it goes to day, after being night, it keeps ticking up larger numbers, and we're not actually cutting it off each day for 24,000 ticks. So by setting it to 7,000 ticks, if we see these guys despawning, yeah, and then we just see a Snorlax spawn right there. So I think you have to wait for these guys to give enough time to go and start despawning so we can see more stuff spawn. Yep, there's a Fearow over here. So I think what it was that after 24 hours in the game, the time would look differently. It would still say, like, maybe 36,000 ticks instead of 12,000 ticks, and so our code wasn't reading the next day as just another day cycle. We were actually reading it in, like, the progression of the lunar cycle. So I think that's where our issue was. So I think we've got the day-night spawning code finally fixed up. So I'm sitting here in the swamps, just slowly waiting for the sun to set, as we're going to watch some transitions happen, as the code now registers each day. We had to take a little bit different approach to actually figuring out what time of day it was. So that way we didn't actually read off the lunar cycle, we were actually just reading off the solar cycle every day. So you can see here in the swamp, we've got some Coughings, we've got some Arboks, we got our basic swamp Pokemon. And now it's starting to come on to night, so you're actually going to start to see a rise of some of the bug types. So there's already a Parasect over here. There's a Slowpoke still from the daytime. And so we'll see these Weezings and Slowpokes transition out and see the Parasects and Parases and Venonats spawn in. So most of the evenings are going to be high in Bug-type Pokemon. And so you'll see a lot more of these Parasects. Yep, there's a Venonat over there, or Venomoth in the distance. Probably should be a Venonat somewhere spawning soon. Let's see. And we also see a lot of our trainers. The bug catchers seem to be out as well. They seem to know that it's the time of day to have all of the bug-type Pokemon spawning for them. Yep, and there's a Venonat over there. Let's see what else we got around here. And so now we're just about into the full sunset. And so we've actually transitioned our spawning system a little bit. And so now, instead of having the Pokemon die within the first 50 seconds, all Pokemon's lifespans kind of tick down throughout the day, even in phases where they are meant to spawn. Before it was only they would start to die off if they were around at a time where they shouldn't be. And so that'll help it kind of be a little bit more dynamic, keep the world kind of refreshed without having the same Pokemon around for 50 hours. Legendaries will all be around for about 5 minutes. But as these guys all have about a 1 to 3 minute lifespan. So now we're pretty much almost into full night. So we might be past their spawn time area, so you'll start to see these guys ticking them down. And so these guys will be, let's see. Yeah, there's a few. But we're starting to see it kind of clearing out a little bit. Still have some of the trainers around. The trainers actually don't have despawn times. And so we currently have a bug where they kind of just keep populating because they always spawn, but they don't despawn on the times like the bug Pokemon do, and all the rest of the Pokemon. So we still have a Venonat here. We'll follow him around and watch him as he despawns, but he should be getting pretty close to getting despawned for the day. But as you can see, it's kind of like, pretty empty here at night. We still don't have anything assigned for nighttime spawns in the swamp, but we're going to be working on that later. But yeah, as you can see, it kind of transitioned. There's not actually much spawning at night at all. Yeah, so we're starting to get things put together a little bit better. Alright, hello everybody, it's GhostWolf back again with some more updates. So we finally got it fixed. It's been about almost a day since my last clip that I have in the video. And we finally have Magikarp and Goldeen spawning correctly in rivers and not having tentacles and anything like that. It was a very, very complicated process. We actually had to write override code for Forge's own biomes in order to set the rivers separately from the ocean. And so we finally got all that figured out, and I've never been so happy in my life to see Magikarps everywhere. So that's even more with the Pixelmon spawner. And another thing I ended up doing today is I took all 649 Pokemon that are through Gen 5 and assigned each and every single one of them into different biome groups. Many thanks to the Pixelmon gaming staff for helping me figure out what day or night cycle some of these Pokemon that I've never even heard of go into. And so we will be getting that imported, so the day-night cycle will be awesome looking. It's actually going to have a lot more robust stuff than you've seen in the previous videos. And so I cannot wait to show that off. I'm just so happy that the rivers finally work now. Hello, Victory Bell, or Weeping Bell. Oh, so many Magikarp. They're back in droves, spawning again. Alright, I'll see you in the next little bit for the next advancement in the Betamon Dev Diary. Or Pixelmon Beta Dev Diary. Betamon. Ugh. Too much coding. Need a break.